Should you be listening to the same music every night for sleep? This is a really good question because on one extreme, listening to the same piece of music every single night could be really beneficial for creating an association between music and sleep. Also, it's easier to find one piece of music that you really enjoy. On the other side of the spectrum, listening to the same piece of music can lead to habituation, so the music becomes less effective with time. So in this video, we're going to look at strategies at which you can get around this issue of having the same piece of music or having too varied music. I'm Thomas Dixon, expert in the science of music. Here at Biohacking with Music, I'm going to show you how to use music as a tool to thrive. The big challenge for using music for sleep is that it takes time. You're expected to wait at least 30 days of using music at the same time every night before we start seeing an impact on people's sleep quality. But of course, if you're listening to the same piece every night, this can be very repetitive. For example, you might find a piece of music that you are particularly fond of and that you really enjoy. But the problem is that once you've listened to it for 30 nights in a row, you might find that that music either isn't as pleasant as it used to be, so you're not as excited whilst listening to the piece of music, or you don't enjoy it as much, or alternatively, you may habituate to it. And what this means is that the cognitive or mental requirements to process this music become less. So you end up zoning out to the music instead of engaging with it. For example, if you have insomnia and you have stressful thoughts that are worrying you, the music that in the past might have been distracting enough to stop you from having those thoughts, you've now habituated to. So instead, those ruminating thoughts rise to the surface instead of being distracted by the music. So we might not want to listen to the same music every night for 30 nights because after that period, we might notice that the music isn't as impactful as it had been in the past. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, when we look at this changing music every night, this can be a problem because you need to source new music and you might not find music that you are as emotionally engaged in or that you find as relaxing. This creates a wide variety of issues because there's a lot of variability in the music that you're listening to. And you might find that some nights, specific music can be very effective in helping you to fall asleep. But at other nights, when you use different music, it can keep you awake. And this is a factor that might hinder you improving your sleep quality. So we need to find some kind of balance that's in between. Now, when we look at the scientific literature, what we see is that the majority of the studies actually have a wide variety of pieces that individuals can listen to. Now, these vary from different genres or styles, but also different CDs. So they might have one CD where they can choose different tracks to help them fall asleep. And I think this is a really good workaround because that way you can have the consistency of it being in an album's style, which may all be composed by the same artist. So there'd be similarities there. But because it's all different tracks, it can be different enough that you don't habituate to it as quickly as if you had listened to the same piece every night. Similarly, there might be playlists on YouTube or Spotify that you listen to that are similar enough piece to piece. The other option is that there are 8-hour playlists. So there are tracks online that go for 8 hours, and because we only need 20 to 40 minutes of that music to fall asleep to, you could use that music but start at different points. This is a fantastic option because there's a lot of internal consistency between this one track. So if you're listening to the first 20 minutes of this piece, I'd imagine it would be very similar to the 7 hours and 50 minutes of this piece. These different sections of the piece may have similar instrumentation or qualities that are consistent throughout the entire piece. And that's what I would recommend. Now, another strategy is looking at generative music. So generative music is composed by computer algorithms. And what it does is it composes new music that changes over time. And this is a fantastic option. And there are a couple of apps out there that actually include generative music that you can listen to. One such option could be the app I developed, which is Can't Sleep, or you could consider using Baziz, which also uses generative music to help individuals fall asleep. So if you're wanting to use music effectively as a sleep aid, it's worth considering having some consistency amongst the pieces that you're using, but not to use the same piece every night. Unfortunately, the research in its current state doesn't have a direct test of comparing pieces that have been listened to every night for 30 days versus a wide variety of pieces versus pieces that contain some similarity amongst them. But this being said, that final option of using pieces of music that have some consistency between them would be what I would recommend if you're considering using music as a sleep aid. In this video, we've looked at some of the concerns around using the same piece of music every night for sleep. We've also looked at some of the benefits for that. And we've also looked at the challenges of using different music every night as a sleep aid, and the solution being music with some consistency. Now, if you've found this video beneficial, please like and subscribe. And if you have a friend or colleague who you feel would benefit from using music as a sleep aid, please share this with them. Thank you.